Welcome, everybody. We'll go ahead with our City Commission work meeting. This is Tuesday, January 28th, 2025, and it is 9:04. Our pledge of public conduct. We may disagree, but we will be respectful of one another. We will direct all comments to the issues. We will avoid personal attacks. Speaking without being recognized will be considered as out of order. Could you read the roll call, please, Ruth? Oh, well, we do.
Okay.
It's either,
Okay.
it's after.
I want you to forget.
I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Chappie.
Present.
Vice Mayor Polk.
Here.
Commissioner Bear.
Here.
Commissioner Sketchinocci. Here. Commissioner Vosper. Here.
Right. Thank you very much. Glad to see you're feeling better around. We missed you, believe it or not, we did miss you. With that, we have the adoption of the agenda. I just want to make a quick comment that there is no general comment with regards to having a work meeting. But I want you to all know that the work meetings for the commission to discuss the current future staffing of the Building and Planning Services Department. Public comment, because this is a work meeting, the subject will be what is posted on the agenda. You know, public works, the Building and Planning Department services. And there will be comment before the any kind of action on that particular subject, because this is a single subject commission meeting. It's for us to have our discussion and then hear from the public when we have a motion on the floor or some type of consensus or whatever. So that I just wanted you to be clear, because this is a little different than a regular city commission meeting. It's like I said, it's a special work meeting. So with that, if there's no comments or questions with regards to the agenda, do we have a motion on the floor to approve the agenda as presented?
Second.
We have a motion on the floor in a second. Any further comments? No further comments. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. First, what I want to do is give you an update on the current building department staffing that we have here right now. As you know, on January 17th, I placed Darin Cushing on administrative leave, temporary suspension of services, pending discussion with MT Causley, of course, and of course with pending the pre-scheduled meeting discussion with the commission, so that we act as a group, as elected officials. I would like to read to the commission the correspondence that has been sent by our city attorney to Mr. Cushing's employer, MT Causley, Safe Built MT Causley. Dear Mr. Causley, as a city attorney on behalf of the city commission and the city of Bradenton Beach, I am writing this correspondence to address the Third Amendment and in the June 25th, 2015 agreement with MT Causley, that MT Causley Inc. hereinforth Causley entered into and or upon June 20th, 2024, the current amendment expired on June 1st, 2025, unless sooner terminated or expended by parties. On January 21st, 2024, Mayor Chappie met with Darin Cushing to address some issues that had recently come to his attention. I attended the meeting to monitor the matter and provide legal assistance as needed. The first question posed to Mr. Cushing was the purpose and intent of why he generated the public comments he posted in Exhibit A, attached here too, and incorporated herein. Mr. Cushing did not answer the question, but rather redirected the conversation to a development approval the city determined should have been processed as a major development application and not administratively. I'm now going to read, and as you can see, simply this on the footnote, footnote number 1. The project at issue was for the drift in located on 2 parcels at 120 and 122 Bridge Street. The project on the 120 Bridge Street parcel consists of an outdoor structure that Mr. Cushing determined was a cheeky hut exempt from the Florida building pursuant to section 553.3.73, parent 10, Florida statute. He approved the structure administratively with the following notable issues. Number 1, 450 feet larger than the prior structure. I'm sorry? 450%. Yeah, thank you. 450% larger, which was 24 feet by 54 feet, than the prior structure, 13 feet by 15 feet with a 3-foot overhang. Number 2, decreased parking spaces that were previously part of the site. Number 3, allowed the replacement structure to be placed back into an easement granted to the city. And number 4, the cheeky hut contained non-wood features such as nails, screws, concrete floor, outdoor bar, stage area, as well as electrical and plumbing were incorporated into the structure. The proposed improvements fall outside of the section 557.73 parent 10 exemption. Further, Mr. Cushing did not provide any information nor the plans for review to the West Manatee Fire District, the City of Bradenton Beach Police Department, nor the City of Bradenton Beach Public Works, as required in the approval process. During a 12/19/24 commission meeting where an update was provided on the drift-in matter, a request to notify the West Manatee Fire District was directed to Mr. Cushing, who made the following statement. I know the fire marshal is aware of the situation, but I will bring this new information to him today and see if he needs to put an approval on it. However, during the West Manatee Fire District meeting a month later, on 1/14/23, Chief Redney and Fire Marshal Kolakowski, I'm sure I butchered that up, stated that they learned of the drift-in project through social media and had not been provided any municipal notice nor the permit application. The fire marshal was obligated to red tag the property and found that the thatch roof was in violation of the standards and regulations promulgated by the district. Accordingly, the new roof would have to be removed and replaced with a synthetic thatch material. Second, located at 122 Bridge Street, has undergone extensive renovations, including electrical, plumbing, restroom reconfiguration, windows, doors, concrete painting, flooring, HVAC. No permit was required by Mr. Cushing for any of the work until the meeting with West Manatee Fire District, wherein the city attorney and West Manatee Fire District Fire Marshal requested for one to be applied for and reviewed by the building department and the appropriate agencies, as directed by FEMA floodplain management and insurance specialist Braden Williams from the United States Department of Homeland Security, which FEMA is part of that. Every single improvement to any property, including repainting an interior wall, triggering the need in a post-storm event for a permit in order to properly and legally capture substantial damage and substantial improvement matters. Failure to do so is grounds for non-compliance and audits. Into the footnotes. The response from Mr. Cushing was, and that gets back to what was on the other, before I started reading the footnote, the response from Mr. Cushing when I posed the question was, I am out. I'm requesting to be out of here. I went to tell Safe Built to send another different building official here. They've already got a position for me elsewhere. So it's because now it feels like a hostile work environment. So that's where it's at. At this juncture, Mayor Chappie advised Mr. Cushing that he was temporarily suspended his service and would be notifying MT Cosley for a replacement as sometimes things work out, sometimes they don't. I just do not understand your actions. As provided for in paragraph 4 of the agreement, although MT Cosby is an independent contractor, the work contemplated herein must meet the approval of the city and shall be subject to the city's general right of inspection to secure the satisfactory completion thereof. MT Cosley agreed to comply with all federal, state, and municipal laws, rules, and regulations that are now and may in the future become applicable to MT Cosley. MT Cosley, business, equipment, or personnel engaged in operations covered by the agreement or accruing out of the performance of such operations. Specifically, MT Cosley and its agents would be bound to uphold all of the municipal laws, including regulations of the city of Bradenton Beach, including but not limited to the employee handbook, the land development code, the standard operating procedures for the building department, and directives of the city commission and mayor. Ultra-Virus Act. First, the city is of the opinion that the issuance of an administrative development approval to drift in for the installation of the structure that Mr. Cushing deemed to be a cheeky hut as exempted by Florida statute was improperly categorized as such and should not have been approved until a major development hearing was conducted by the Planning and Zoning Board and the City Commission. To administratively approve the structure was outside the scope of his authority. The action failed to adhere to the municipal laws found within the Land Development Code and was not approved by the city. Disregarding direction from Mayor Chappie. Second, Mayor Chappie proactively advised Mr. Cushing to refrain from issuing any permits immediately following the approval of a demolition permit for the property at 122 Bridge Street because of active legal discussion between the city attorney and the attorney for the drift in. Without informing anyone at the city, Mr. Cushing then issued the administrative development order. Upon seeing redevelopment work and repairs at the drift in on December 13, 2024, Mayor Chappie immediately contacted Mr. Cushing by phone and in writing to advise him of a number of concerns that he had in order to protect the city's status. The city's land use right and the drift in's land use rights must be protected and proper policy and procedures must be followed. The city must operate in accordance with the policy mandates of the commission. All proper documentation must be in place to protect the city from any FEMA issues, and the city's easement issues must be addressed by the commission prior to the additional work. A copy of this written notice is attached hereto as Exhibit B. Mr. Cushing disregarding all the advice given by Mayor Chappie. Failure to adhere to procedures and notice to reviewing agencies. The failure to notify any of the reviewing agency, i.e. West Manatee Fire District, violated the procedures of the building department and came at a cost to the property owner. Mr. Cushing did not provide any information nor the plans for review to West Manatee Fire District, the City of Bradenton Beach Police Department, nor the City of Bradenton Beach Public Works as required in the approval process. During 12/19/24 commission meeting, where an update was provided on the drift-in matter, directive by the city commission to notify the West Manatee Fire District was directed to Mr. Cushing, who made the following statement. I know the fire marshal is aware of the situation, but I will bring this new information to him today and see if he needs to put a approval on it. However, during the West Manatee Fire District meeting a month later on 1/14/25, Chief Redgate and Fire Marshal Kowalski stated that they learned of the drift-in project through social media and had not been provided any municipal notice nor a copy of the permit application. The fire marshal was obligated to red tag the property and found that the thatch roof was a violation of the standards and regulation promulgated by this district. Accordingly, the new roof would have to be removed and replaced with synthetic thatch materials, which may have been avoided with notice to West Manatee Fire District. Failure to adhere to protect the integrity of FEMA floodplain post-storm event. The cessation of securing a permit for property improvements / repairs at 120 Bridge Street violates a number of policies of the city, the Land Development Code, and in light of post-hurricane floodplain / FEMA compliance, likely violated the substantial damage and substantial improvement procedures. As noted by the fire marshal on 1/14/25, the second structure located at 122 Bridge Street had undergone extensive renovations, including electrical, plumbing, restroom reconfiguration, windows, doors, concrete painting, flooring, HVAC work. No permit was required by Mr. Cushing for any of the work until a meeting with the West Manatee Fire District. Herein, the city attorney and the West Manatee Fire District Fire Marshal requested for one to be applied for and reviewed by the building department and the appropriate agency as directed by FEMA floodplain. Management and insurance specialist Braden Williams from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, every single improvement to any property, including minor repairs such as repainting an interior wall, triggers the need in a post-storm event for a permit in order to promptly and legally capture substantial damage and substantial improvement matters. Failure to do so is grounds for non-compliant and audits. Social media. The actions of Mr. Cushing is salacious social media posting. In salacious social media posting with slang profanity terms is improper and harmful to the city of Bradenton Beach. The city is aware of no less than half of a dozen comments on social media that contain factual misstatements, made declarations adverse to the best interest of the city, incited the public against the city, and made statements that could be taken as threats against the city. So when it all hits the fan, this is in quotes, when it all hits the fan, be prepared to get some on your face, end of quote. Pursuant to employee manual adopted by an ordinance of the city, these assertions are a group 3 offense that can result in dismissal depending on the severity of the offense. Specifically, section 8, which states that unlawful or indecent either on or off the job, which would tend to affect the employee's relationship to his job, his fellow workers, his reputation, or goodwill in the community, may result in separation from employment with the city. Furthermore, it has come to the attention of the city that there has been at least one additional posting of Mr. Cushing pending his temporary suspension of building official services that cast a negative light on the city of Bradenton Beach. Pursuant to a message I sent on Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025, I requested the assistance of Paul Featherstone to address in writing any verbal statements by State Building MT Cosley or its agents that could be defamatory in nature with the public or press. We would again emphasize the importance of maintaining a level of professionalism that does not negatively impact the reputation of the city or Safe Build/MT Causeway. We would ask that this matter and the replacement of a different building official capable of conducting commercial and residential inspections be provided no later than Wednesday, January 29, 2025. Mayor Chapman has contacted Mr. Featherstone each day of this week since Mr. Cushing has left the services of the city and has been advised that options are very limited. Time is of the essence, especially in the aftermath of two storm events that greatly impact our community. If Safe Build is unable to timely provide the services needed and contacted by the city, please advise immediately. The city looks forward to continuing a strong relationship with Safe Build, MT Causeway, and appreciates your cooperation addressing this matter, or this concern. Very truly, so, where are we? Currently, staffing of the building department. We're trying to keep up with everything as moves along. There's hiccups here and there, unfortunately, while we're going through this. The city is using Safe Build, who is our current independent contractor, to staff the building department. And this is through an agreement that we have had for quite some time. Initially, it was 5 years. It is automatically renewed every year, unless something comes back and we have amendments. As you can see in some of the information you have here, there have been a couple of amendments, 3 of them are completed. Let's see. And like I said, Safe Build's obligated to provide a building official. Every day, like I said, I've been talking with Mr. Featherstone, Paul. Also, yesterday we had the opportunity. They wanted Tom Welch, who is the vice president of Safe Build MT Causeway. He wanted to be in on the conversation, so he also took partake in the conversation with Paul and Lucinda and myself. And they are working on a game plan. At this time, they can provide an inspector on a partial basis. He is here in the mornings. He comes in at 8 o'clock. Actually, he's here early. He's been here early every day, and he can provide. And they also can provide online plan review. In our discussion yesterday, they brought that up, that they are able to do that. Chris Wynn is the inspector that is assigned. He's from Manatee County, so it's relatively easy for him to come out here. He's always out on the west side in the mornings before he goes up. He also covers Treasure Island because they're having issues filling the spot up there as well. So he works here and does his inspections. And he moves to Treasure Island. And again, Chris is assigned to conduct the inspections. He's also residential plan review capabilities. He has that. And he also is able to do inspections for electricity. Commercial stuff, we have to work with MT Causeway, and they are working to have somebody come in here as needed. We are also being backed up by Holmes Beach for regular inspections and commercial inspections when we need it. I want to really thank Mayor Titsworth. I called her when this first started, and she immediately said, we'll work it out, because we have like mutual aid agreements. We work together. If another city out here has a problem, we try to take over and help them along in the process. Also, I want to thank Neil Swartz, who is the building official up there at Holmes Beach, and a big thank you also to Kimberly Sharon, I think that's how you pronounce it. She does the scheduling and rearranging. She has really bent over backwards to work with us and get that information, receive the information we give her and give us back information. And of course, we get reports from Chris when he's done with his inspections, so that they can all be documented and put in CivicCert, the computer system that we have to track everything. So this is where we are covering our basic. So the main subject, I just wanted to give you the update where we're at, how things are progressing. The work meeting was to discuss the building department services, and I had a couple thoughts and a couple comments. Just wanted to run by you, and then, this is a discussion of the commission to decide how things are, where there might be issues, where there might not be issues, the pros and cons, basically. So in the past years, the city official was an employee, and we changed that. I believe it was, let's see. In the past, the official was an employee. In 2015, ordinance 6-398A, building official could make up to $73,052. Independent contractor for planner, and we had Garrett, Alan Garrett. Some of you might recall Alan. He received $50 for office work and $90 if he had meeting time with prospective developers or homeowners, or somebody wanted to do something and they had questions. So that was his rates. I gave you this information, I believe it was at the last meeting, the 24-25 budget cost of the building. The planning revenues are projected at $525,350. Planning expenditures are $476,183, and that is the entire department. The building official professional services, that's $215,977, and the planning professional services is $70,000. So here we are. What are our options? We could, and I'm just going to run a few things, and then you guys, we just need to talk and come up with your ideas. Again, we could possibly do an RFP for another company if you wanted. We have in talking with Holmes Beach, which has been very interesting and very helpful. I can't stress that enough. They use JPI, which is Joe Payne. Anna Maria also has been using them since the hurricanes, as I understand. And in Holmes Beach, they have processed over 1,500 permit applications since the hurricane. And they continue to use their company. They provide office and remote building officials, inspections, and work plan, our plan work. We may have, we're still waiting for some information from Integrated Solutions Consulting Corporation. We are currently under contract with Integrated Solutions. Eric, I can't pronounce his last name, it's a tough one. They are helping us with tracking for the storm, where we can get funds to get back to the city to help pay for a lot of stuff that we have to do. So they are going to be before noon. He said I could just talk to him this morning. He's going to try to get us the information on building planning that they do have, not emergency stuff, but this is part of their bailiwick in their corporation. So we'll see what he has there. Also, possibly Steve Gilbert, floodplain plan review, possibly getting him back. I don't know. Or we can just advertise for a new employee and go back the way it was. There are pros and cons in whatever we choose. I know in talking with the chief during the recent hurricanes, there has we've seen where this we haven't done our official after event review audit, but some of the things we've talked about already, there have been some areas where we've seen some weaknesses and we've seen some tremendous strengths. And all in all, I think the city has done an amazing job, and kudos to all of our staff people, all of our people that have helped to complete this. The pros, some of the pros I can think of, you get some for an employee, you have continuity, you have somebody who gets here, they become really part of the community typically, if it works. Sometimes it does, as I said earlier, and sometimes it doesn't. But, if things work out, they become really part of the community, and they care, and they get to know the public and our property owners. So that's always a good thing, I think. It's very important. And they would also be an actual supervisor as a department head. And it could be less expensive, possibly. I don't know at this point. Some of the cons, one of the things that we have with MT Cosley, insurance errors and omissions are included in the agreement. That could be important. If something doesn't work out, you swap out and they'll send somebody else. And we've done that at least one other time, maybe one other time, I think we've done that. Overhead can be covered by independent contractors. So also an option, and I think it's something worth noting and looking at possibly, a little discussion. We could have a motion possibly to allow me to reach out and explore with Holmes Beach the form of shared building services as contemplated by Representative Will Robinson and Senator Jim Boyd, as long, of course, because key, as long as it is more cost effective for the taxpayers and as efficient as our community. You know, it's about quality of service, expertise. So we have a lot of options. One of the other things we also could do is sign on with other providers. We have a non-exclusive agreement with Safeco. So, you know, we can always just get out there and sign somebody else. We have, with engineers, we've done that. And we have that right now. So that could be an option as well. So, you know, some of the final questions I have and consensus, possibly a motion, whatever. Do we want to continue with Safe Built? MT Cosley, that's pretty much a yes or no, but we've got to have our discussion. To the extent that Mr. Cushing is available, because we have been advised by Safe Built, Safe Built MT Cosley Human Resources has placed Mr. Cushing on administrative leave to do what to lead on the administrative leave. And do you want to continue with Mr. Cushing or Safe Built and provide a different building official? Those are some of the things I've been thinking of, working with to decide what I wanted to say here. So I want to hear a real good discussion here, and if we're going to have a couple of actions here, we need to. And then we'll open up the public comment, of course, on the subject. It's a single subject meeting, so please tell me what your thoughts are, and let's figure out how we can maneuver through this. Yes, ma'am. Put your speaker on and get your microphone down to you. Just bend it down. There you go.
I've been here as a commissioner in Bradenton Beach off and on because of term limitations for the last 15 years. So I've gone through a few building inspectors, also having our own in-house inspector. And it is after thinking about this, doing some research in the last few days, I feel it would be to the benefit of Bradenton Beach to have a building inspector in-house rather than having hired outside. I think that would be, I also check with costs. I guess it's not going to cost us any more to do that than it would be to hire somebody outside. But I think for the sake of Bradenton Beach, that it would be a good move to do that. Also, I would like to make a comment to all of you businesses out there. I've had my own business in Utah for 27 years, so I can see your side of it as well as our side of it. And I think that Bradenton Beach, what I see in the last 15 years, that Bradenton Beach commissioners have been extremely wonderful to you people. I mean, have done everything possible to make Bridge Street the place to go to. Just been over, you know, to very, very, I'm sorry, But anyway, very good to you people. I mean, it's not, you know, we should be good to you people, but very cooperative in every way possible. And I've never seen anybody in the last 15 years ever be negative to I mean, we've gone through a lot. And when I first came to Bradenton Beach, that street was pretty bad. And I don't know if most of you been here or not, but I feel like the commissioners through the years have been very, very good to the people on Bridge Street. And will of course continue to do so. But in my opinion, after doing my research, I feel that it would be better if we did have a in-house building inspector. That's it.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
Good.
I know when I first came on board and was appointed, one of my questions was the money we spent on building and planning staff. And I also agree that I thought that we would benefit from an in-house employee. That way they're like part of the community as a whole, residential, commercial, business, everything. And to piggyback off what Mayor Chaffee said about OPAGA and that document, there is a possibility that maybe it's a hybrid where we employ some in-house staff and we also benefit from the expertise and the employees and staff at Holmes Beach. I know Neil Schwartz is a very credentialed and highly respected building official. So that's, I think, something that we could also examine as a possibility, but I do feel that an in-house would be preferable to me.
Scott?
I guess I've got a couple questions about the empty closet contract if we were to terminate it. Are we just addressing building official? Because we have planning and code enforcement under that. So to me, I'm a little concerned that we'd lose a lot of services if we just terminate their contract. I'm not sure we can terminate their contract based on the language as I read it until June. So are we then paying for two services? How do we address that? I got a couple concerns about hiring somebody for the city staff. One is, I was involved in hiring folks before I retired, and it's difficult. It's going to be really hard to find somebody in a short period of time. So how do we bridge that gap and make sure we're not losing services? Because there could be a period where we're without services, or we're having to continue working with Holmes Beach. Makes a lot of sense. But in the meantime, we need to really decide, because just looking at, some information about how much you're going to pay for a building official and all of those folks, yeah, I think we're paying a premium by contracting it out. That's just the nature of business, because they have costs that they're trying to cover. But I'm also concerned about what we would get in a short time period. So I think we have better options if it's in-house, but I'm more concerned the immediate of how we get through where we are, which everything I'm hearing from folks is we have a ton of permits that are sitting trying to get through, and that all needs to be addressed as part of this. But I'm really more concerned about how we make sure, if we decide we're going to terminate the contract, how do we make sure we don't have a gap in services till we get somebody? And what do we do about the planner and code enforcement roles as well? So both of those need to be talked about as part of this effort.
Code enforcement is totally out of that department, although the planner is the chief how's that, what's the legal,
Statutorily, under the code enforcement provisions by Florida law, the building official is deemed the chief code enforcement officer.
so you bring up a good point. Several, all of you guys. Yes,
My question is, what is the difference when we come into a problem as far as terminating a contract, or the difference between, we have our own employee, like one of our department heads, has to go through a process of determination, or termination, not determination. What's the difference if you're a hired, or you're a contracted and a permanent employee, of what the process would be? As far as he's our chief code enforcement officer, but what is the process of now replacing them or removing them compared to if we had our own building official like we did in the past? And also, I'm concerned about the liability that's involved. MT Cosley takes on a bit of that responsibility, correct? If something goes wrong.
Yes.
So what will we be losing there? And then lastly, I would like to know exactly how much we pay MT Cosley for the public. Do we have an exact number on that? No. Do you know what it is?
It can
right off
vary
the-
a little bit, but we have the maximum in our existing budget, the numbers that I rattled off
So it's
for the
the five.
building official, and the planner, the 70,000 for the building, for the planner, and the 215,977 is what professional services, and professional services does include what we would, what the hours that Darin would be here, or their agent would be
The
here.
contract that we have with MT Cosley, I'm talking about the amount we pay them.
Right.
And then they take out of what we pay them. So that's the professional services, 215,
That's where that
and-
comes from.
and the
my
70,000.
understanding. Yes, that's where
So-
that comes from.
And so we would have to find a building official and a planner for roughly 285 to replace that.
Yes. The employee handbook states, as you might recall, I know you recall, the employee handbook states right down the book how we handle situations for dismissal of anybody, or actions that need to be, corrective actions that need to be taken. So it's pretty well spelled out. And if there are issues and concerns, our city clerk handles a lot of that. And if we need further assistance, we hire an employee relations attorney specialist in that field.
And then we have to have a hearing, and at
It
the
could-
end of all that, you have to have a hearing and have the majority. What's the vote? Is it 3-2?
It could get to that.
4-1?
Lucinda has the.
I mean, I'm trying to put it out there for the public, so they know too. Is that,
We have one that quiet. I believe it's a super majority vote, but I'm confirming.
Well, she's doing.
Yeah, also, I can tell you, Mayor Titsworth just gave me the information today. I asked her what they pay their building official, and it's $65 an hour. Also, bridging the gap, MT Cosley, if we would, the way I understand it, if we would give them notice that we did not want to renew their contract, because either side could back away if they wanted to. I'm sure they would work with us until we need somebody, or, you know, I don't know. Like, it's just a question we would pose to them. I don't know whether they would want to get, I will tell you though, in talking with Paul Featherstone and Mr. Walsh, both of them yesterday, they've been advertising, for about a year or more for a building official. They want somebody with all the credentials, electrical and plumbing. There's hardly anyone to choose from, not really anybody, pretty much. That's why we have Chris Miller, who is also taking care of Treasure Island up in Pinellas County. So it would be a difficult road to hoe to hire somebody, because it could take a lot of time. And again, right now, MT Cosley is wanting to work with us. They're working on a game plan to try to get somebody here all the time. And they, like I said, the online plans review, and they are aware of it. Chris can do some for residential. But again, you know, in talking, I haven't gone into detail at all with Holmes Beach at this time. We needed to have our discussion. But you all are bringing up all really good points. I see pros and cons on both sides. I really do like the errors and omissions part of it. That gives us some protections that we could possibly need, you know, throughout time. So that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, I think Scott wanted to say something.
Can you clarify for me, is the code enforcement person we have now, is Evan a city employee or under MT Cosley?
He is a city employee.
Oh, okay. All right,
And
thank
his supervisor is the Chief Cosley.
you. So he's under Public Works then?
He's under Public Works, yes.
I thought-
Well,
No.
not under Public
He's
Works.
under the police department.
He's being supervised by the
Because the
chief.
police
but-
department is code
but-
enforcement.
But the
Correct?
building official is the guy with the license.
Right. Thank you.
Sorry. I thought the police department took over the code enforcement, and so he's under the police department.
He supervises him.
Yeah.
But because of the state statutes, it's the building official, correct?
It's just if there's an incident, you need a chief building official, chief code enforcement officer, then you would turn to the building official because that's statutorily their role. But you do not need that to operate a code enforcement department.
Right.
So I'll,
Mayor Chappie, I'm sorry, I'm hearing a lot of noise in the audience. I'm having a hard time hearing the commission.
Okay. You'll have some time when we make a motion or a decision. You'll have some time. Thank you.
so right now, the position we're in is they need to temporarily provide us a building official rather quickly because of all the things that are going on, so we can move forward with all our permitting because of the storm. I mean, and I can understand that there's probably just so much demand out there because the whole state of Florida's west coast is probably, a lot of it's destroyed, so they're good until June. That's our contract.
The contract is automatically
So-
renewed unless one party or the other decides. And then if we are required to give some type of notice.
But the effective date on the Amendment 3 was June 20th, so they're under contract till then.
Yes. If nobody says anything, it's automatic.
And so if they decide between now and then, or now, to put it out for, how would you put it out for a bid to do that, to get another service like MT Cosley?
Isn't it?
What would be the process?
We would simply submit an RFP. We also have the option, because we are still within the FEMA timeframes, to get compensation for building services, as well as code enforcement services covered. I believe it's at 100% cost in an emergency situation. That expires in approximately, I think, 2 months. So you could, under your emergency powers, hire the same firm that Holmes Beach is using. And I'll tell you, Holmes Beach advised us that they had processed 1,500 permits, whereas our city had 200 in the queue, and were being processed by our city. So the company that they were using were kicking out a tremendous number of permits to the benefit of the community. So you could use your emergency powers and do what Holmes Beach did, use that firm or another firm that provides building services immediately. You could continue immediately to transition by any combination of anything that you want. You can continue with MT Cosley using their inspector, and if they can find a building official, bring that building official on. You can supplement them, they are non-exclusive, so you can keep them going. You can go out for bid and find another firm and use them both as you need. You cannot have 2 building official license operating in the city. You would have to select which one is your building official, but you could use both of them for services. They all seem to have online plan reviews available to them. As of today, MT Cosley can do that. We also can continue to explore Holmes Beach and have them supplement. They're expecting a phone call from Mayor Chappie and I to see what needs that the city has. Mr. Neal has said he would provide whatever help that we need in the interim, because I know there is concern about keeping things moving forward. You can do anything. An RFP, we can close it out in 15 days, 20 days, 30 days, whatever is your preference. You can direct me to prepare that and submit that online. Within 24 hours, I can produce that work and get that advertised and closed out. I do agree, there is an actual 60 days notice that needs to, I think it was 60, maybe it's 90.
60.
To terminate. However, if MT Cosley cannot fulfill their contract, that's a different story. They have an obligation. Also, what I would point out in the contract is they're paid on an hourly basis. So, for instance, they say they're providing code enforcement. They're not providing code enforcement. We're not paying that hourly rate. If they say they're providing a building official, we're not providing that hourly rate. So technically, you may be under contract with them, but if you're not using their services, you have no expense, as opposed to worrying about canceling the contract or terminating it. But you do have the right, if they are not performing, to address that immediately with cancellation. You can follow the written notice requirements, or you can continue on with them, or you can just come up with a hybrid approach where you're not paying an hourly rate for a service you're not using. A lot of, as Mayor Chappie said, a lot of options.
Well, and question, you've been talking to Cosley, MT Cosley, and they're preparing a game plan. When do they expect to have that? Because that would factor into the decision. If they can provide us the building official, and they can get somebody here, even if it's on an interim basis or whatever the process may be. But if it's going to take them 30 days to let us know, then that would change how I think we would need to approach it.
Absolutely.
So have they given any indication?
By the end of the week, we should know more, but they keep telling us that they've been advertising for building officials for the one, I think they said for over a year, and they haven't been able to find anybody that was qualified, met their standards. One quick, I did check with Anna Marie yesterday on the number in the queue as of yesterday. The plan review, there's 83, document review 7. Document review means the scope of the work has changed, something's changed, site plans changed, something, so that's what the 7. And then 89 are stuck in Anna Marie and Wendy's computers for things, missing documents, license, insurance, things that they always look for when they're going over the applications and permits and what needs to be received. So there's 89 of those that they're continuously working on, that number of things. I don't know how steady it is, but it's a large number that they have to do.
I have another question. If we get, like, if we're overwhelmed, or our building official becomes overwhelmed because of the devastation and trying to issue so many permits and looking at stuff, in their contract, are they supposed to provide help? And the question is, have they done it according to their contract?
So that's a very good question, and I will tell you that we have had weekly staff meetings with all of the departments. This is requested by Chief Cosby, and Mayor is present in those meetings. In the meeting, the first thing that is always asked is, does anybody need extra help for staff? It was specifically asked of Mr. Cushing, every meeting, where are you at on processing everything? Are you able to handle it, or does the city need to reach out to MT Cosley and ask for extra help or hire extra help for you? To which he responded, I'm good, I don't need any help. Even as recent as the very last meeting that took place less than a week prior to his exit, his temporary exit from the city. The question was asked, do you need extra help? No, I do not. Okay, well, it's important that this community get rebuilt and the properties that have been closed down are opened back up to our residents, and that we get properties back on the tax roll. I do not need extra help, I am good. So we have that option, but that department at that point in time, the person who was in control of issuing the permits, said that they were not overwhelmed and inundated and needed extra help. But that is certainly an option we have under the MT Cosley contract to get more help, and it is something that if we needed it, Chief Cosby and I are able to make a request to the state still under our FEMA obligations and rights and responsibilities to ask for assistance from the state to provide us with an immediate assistance. In fact, last week when I had a meeting with FEMA, and I had the Department of Emergency Services, Emergency Management on there, they reminded me that if you guys are needing some help with processing these permits and making sure you're meeting the substantial damage assessment properly and creating the right protocols, because there was a lot of concern with the way the building department was operating and issuing permits post the hurricanes, that we have the right to make those requests to the state and get additional assistance, which is covered by FEMA, those costs. So the options are available for additional help during this time frame.
Just comment. Also remember, we did bring Steve Gilbert back to assist, which was a tremendous amount of help. Also, I forget the name of it, but there were teams that were provided for review of FEMA. I believe it was FEMA related to review all of the structures. They went through everything and documented stuff, and then of course that was reviewed by the building official.
So
their work was.
What my concerns are is there's supposedly 200 or whatever outstanding permits that are out there, and people are waiting, and now we don't have a building official as of today from MT Cosley, and we're holding up a lot of people that need to get taken care of. What are we gonna do temporarily to get this situation fixed and moving forward, to put us off until June when we could actually change or at least look at what our options are? Because sometimes, you gotta go out and, if you're talking insurance or anything that you do in life, sometimes you have to shop to get the best deal. When you keep something too long, sometimes they become complacent. You don't get what you originally got. So I think that MT Cosley should come up with some solution for us in the meantime to make sure that we get our permits processed, whether they do it electronically, but they need to provide the help according to their the extra help that we need to get this done. That way, because I have a lot of constituents concerned they're coming up to me asking, well, who's gonna inspect my building, and who's gonna get me back up? And people, they gotta pay for their insurance, and they gotta pay, there's a lot of costs that are involved, and they're standing in limbo waiting for a permit. So I'm getting a lot of comments on that respect, and I also get them from people from Holmes Beach. They couldn't get their permits either, so it's not just the city of Bradenton Beach. And you do have to remember that the city of Bradenton Beach was hit really bad. And so we need all the help we can get, and I think we should try to get MT Cosley to get us the help. I think that would be the fastest solution, or use the emergency management and get someone to help us process these permits, get people back up and going. That's my thoughts. I'd like to move forward and get something in place so that we can get people their inspections, their permits.
Commissioner Cole, just so you're aware, we have not missed a single inspection. Every inspection that was in the queue or has been called in and requested is being absolutely handled and conducted. There's been nobody who has something ready to go that the city has not responded to. I do want to make that very clear. We've not missed a beat on that. As far as the permits, what I think I may have been unclear. Our city processed 200, Holmes Beach processed 1,500.
Okay.
Permits are coming in, but again, it has been less than a week since this transpired. And the option, your question is, how do we solve this? How do we not have it break down people's permits or not? We need to make sure that the new permits that are coming in are reviewed.
And how many outstanding permits are laying there for review?
Plans review?
Plans, yeah.
About, as I just reported, 83.
83.
Right. And 7 are on document review, which, something was changed, or a site plan was changed, something. And then 89 are stuck in Anna Marie and Wendy's queue of the missing document, license. Something's missing from the application. So they're working on those to finalize them and move them forward like they should be moved forward.
And so that being said too, I have had several complaints of when they go online to enter all the stuff in, that the website doesn't work properly. Maybe it's just operator error, but it's difficult for them to get all the information in there properly and then get their permit processed. So that's another thing that we need to look into to make it easier, and especially for the simple permits.
I will tell you, we're covering things with the backup that we have from MT Cosley and from Holmes Beach. It's not to say the commercial has, I think a couple of them that were delayed a day because Chris Wynn is not certified to do commercial.
He's certified commercial for electrical.
For electrical
He cannot do
only.
plumbing, and he cannot do,
Right.
what's the other one? Plumbing and mechanical, thank you.
Right. So,
Oh, I think I put all the questions
Oh,
out there.
absolutely.
I thought were
To answer your important question, what can we do with MT Cosley under our contract? I think that was your main question. MT Cosley has told us, Paul Featherston is the person that we have been talking to about staffing and getting a replacement, which we did immediately that day that we had the conversation with Mr. Cushing, which I would remind you, Mr. Cushing specifically told us, and I have it recorded, I asked him if I could record the meeting. In the meeting, he said he wasn't planning on staying with the city. He was leaving. He had already been reassigned by MT Cosley to go somewhere else. MT Cosley has told us that their HR department had placed him on administrative leave. So I don't even know if he's available. So I don't, as far as whether that's an option, Mr. Cushing did not want to come back to the city in our meeting, and he's on leave with his company. His company told us that Mr. Featherstone is a building official and can handle any emergency situation such as the structure fire that we faced. He would immediately drop everything, come down and handle the building official services that would be needed in that scenario. And we have him working with Chris Wynn, the inspector, to get that property back up and running. There is no gap on that one. As far as building official services, what are available? We had someone who was available 5 days a week in the office, as well as any emergency such as a fire that took place, the building official needs to be called in. That was Steve Gilbert and then Darin Cushing. Right now, Safe Built committed to us that they could provide someone for approximately 2 days plus emergency needs. They have another gentleman that they can work with and move him around and assist. So we can have a building official named to the city. Second, they can provide online plan review immediately and start working through the 7 permits that are sitting there ready to go back and forth with the changed information that the builders have put in or the homeowners have put in. The other 89, the people have to continue to provide the documents before it can go through review. So we're really talking about 7 documents that are permits that need to be addressed from the numbers that Mayor Chappie had.
With the changes.
So what
right?
it sounds like to me is you're saying that they are doing what they're supposed to do.
Just to
Meanwhile, while they're trying to find another building official.
just for clarification.
If indeed that Darin would not come back.
The document review is 7, and the plan review is 83 that are still in the queue for plans review. So we have to address that as well.
I just want to assure the public that stuff is actually getting processed and done.
That's why I wanted to tell everybody, there hasn't been an inspection missed. The inspections are taking place. We had a constituent that came in very stressed out, thinking they were not going to have their inspection the following day, and had been given terrible information on Facebook, and that the city didn't have a game plan. The city had a game plan. We had the inspections ready to go, and they did not miss their inspection. It went through. And we get the inspection reports updated. So there is nothing missing on that. As far as the plan review, we couldn't pull the trigger on that until we knew what the commission really wanted to do with this situation. Do you want to work with Holmes Beach, who has offered us that service? Do you want to work with Safe Built, who has an online capability of doing plan review? And what I would call a temporary stopgap part-time building official for 2 days a week. If that's the direction you want to go, we just want to know from you. You're the governing body. We did not want to make this decision just within staff and mayor. And this was already slated. We're going through every department in the city and analyzing the strengths, the weaknesses, what needs to be addressed for emergency purposes because of the hurricane. We've seen there's a major transition that is taking place within the city and within staffing needs. And I will tell you that something that's very important to me is the opinion of Chief Cosby. And Chief Cosby wants to make sure that whoever is sitting in the departments that make decisions in a time of need like a hurricane, they are there, available, and ready to the community. There was concern with the building department's availability by not having a full-time employee. And so he wanted to look at it from that perspective as we're analyzing what to do with this department. This meeting has nothing to do, to be very honest, it was booked beforehand. It has nothing to do with the drift-in application, it has nothing to do with Mr. Cushing's performance. It was simply one of the steps that the city's going through to get stronger and better whenever we're dealing with storm events. And what the city is now looking like post the storm events. There's a lot of change and a lot that has to be processed. And so we were starting there. We can get you wherever you want to be. We just need to hear your ideas, and I can make that work. You got an interim plan that you need to put into place, and you need a future plan that you need to put in place. And what does that look like?
Well, that being said, we're without a building official, and it was read into the record at the beginning of the meeting about the drift in, about all that stuff. So that being said, we need to move on and get whatever. That's a totally separate deal. We need to make sure and assure the public that the permits are getting processed, and it's our job to make sure that that happens. So here we are. We got to make a decision on what to do.
So I have a question or a comment, which may not be popular, but I have a concern about going forward with MT Crossley. First of all, drift in, if you wanted to talk about drift in. The planner in that process also failed to catch issues, which is an MT Crossley employee. So my concern is the quality and the knowledge of that company and the information that they're providing to us in our plans review and our permit review process. I think that we need to consider that because how many other bad things or poor decisions were made that we don't know about. Honestly, that's my concern. This was a big one, so it really flashed in our face, but now it gives me pause. If we are able to get JPI on an emergency basis, Holmes Beach has a building official and a designated planner as an employee, but they still have like a hybrid version that they also use the expertise of JPI when they need it. So it seems to me that if we can get JPI and they're able to give us a building official more than 2 days a week, because that's a concern as well, if we have all that sitting in queue, that we need, that maybe MT Crossley is not the answer as a stopgap even, that we need to evaluate whether we can get JPI on board, have Holmes Beach who's more than willing to step in and help us, and then whatever emergency services maybe we can still get through FEMA. I just think MT Crossley is not the way I would go.
Well, if they don't,
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, if they don't provide us a building official like they have it right now, we're not paying them, correct?
Correct.
So the only time we pay them is for the, so if we can, if we can get the other company under the Emergency Act, we could in tandem do both, and correct?
Correct.
And that, and there, but you said we only can have one building official acting.
By state
How does
law,
that work out?
By state law, you can only have one building official designated for the municipality, and everybody has to operate under that building official's license. So you can have multiple building officials doing work, but everybody, there's a hierarchy, and one of them is the official building official.
And that's what we did with
And
Steve.
so right now, our official building official is whoever's MT Cosley, correct?
Whoever MT Cosley designates as the building official.
So you said his name would,
Paul Featherston has said that he would operate on an emergency basis for the city until he can get his part-time person, if the city wanted to move with that 2-day-a-week part-time person, until they can find a full-time person.
And Chris Witt is the inspector.
so how would we work in, as Debbie said, how would we work in the other company? If we decided to do that?
So, we would need to operate under our procurement policy as an emergency. We would need to operate under our FEMA requirements in the category expenses that it falls within, and that means we would reach out to Eric, which I have done. He's with IFC. IFC has indicated they could provide floodplain management work, because a building department is multiple parts. You know, there's plan review, there's floodplain review, there are inspections, and then there's supervision within the department. On top of it now, we have FEMA compliance for substantial damage improvements and substantial damage. So there are multiple segments to the department that you need to have covered. No one is prepared to provide floodplain services, and that's why we reached out to IFC, who said that they can provide that. They are on contract with the city. They have gone through the RFP process. They're the ones that are assisting the city with our FEMA compliance for reimbursement. Eric, and his last name starts with a Z, has indicated that he will be providing those costs to the city. Chief Cosby had spoken with him about a week ago about this, and he was working out the details on what that cost would look like. We could use them under that emergency provision for the time that's left. You have 180 days from the date of the landfall of the storm event. We are on day approximately 125. So do the math of 180 minus 125, that's how much time we have left that we can get FEMA reimbursement for the emergency. So we would work with Eric to make sure that we follow the protocols and procedures to get that reimbursement. We would follow our procurement policy for the emergency provisions, and we could install somebody. If they are ready tomorrow, we could install them tomorrow within those provisions. That will be a stopgap, that cannot be a permanent solution. As you correctly said, in tandem, you would then also be going out and going for your long-term plan, whatever that may be. If you want to put an RFP out to get services in with another company, you can do that. You can keep MT Cosley on board and continue to use them as needed. I just need to know what you want me to do, and I will tell you if I cannot do it, but I will sit here and commit to you that I will jump through whatever hoop I need to make this work. And it's very workable. I just need you to narrow down our options, because there are many. And as Commissioner Sketchanoche noted, there's a hybrid option of all of this, and I think honestly that's where I would lean toward us going, to fill floodplain, inspections, plan review, building official services. There are so many pieces.
And we have 55 days left for it to become, of course, roughly.
You know me, I deal with words, not numbers.
Well, I'm just going by what it gives us time, if we decide something today, to step back, look at this, and come up at the next meeting with a plan. And let things work out and see how they work out. But I just wanted to make sure today that we're covered in the public's getting what they need to get for permitting inspections, which basically what you said is it's all happened.
Everything
Correct.
except plan review, because I wanted to get the input from the commission. Where did you want to go with plan review? Do you want to work with Holmes Beach for that? Do you want to reach out to JPI? Do you want to see if we can work something with Steve Gilbert, who I've been talking with Steve for a while about floodplain services for the city, because we have to have our floodplain ordinance put back into place in May. Every 5 years you have to do this very comprehensive floodplain work, and then you have basically an audit with the Florida Department of Emergency Management every 1 or 2 years, and that greatly impacts your CRS rating. So we have floodplain work that needs to be done, and I've talked with Steve, so I can reach out to Steve and see if he wants to do plan review. The nice thing is, in this current age, because of COVID, and we have citizen serve, plan review can be done online. So we can go whatever way you want on that today.
That being said, what kind of benefits, and this is for the public too, because I kind of know, what kind of benefits do we get out of our CRS? What's that actually do for us as citizens in this community?
If you do not have a good rating, then you cannot get the insurance, or your insurance premiums are so high that they've become unaffordable.
So I've heard that and I've seen with my own eyes, I try and buy flood insurance. Okay, it's so high, it's not feasible to buy right now. And we have what's our rating?
I think I was told by Steve Gilbert in the FEMA meeting
5.5
last week, I think he told us we were at 7.
A 7. 6. And how much does that actually, I would like to know the percentage that it actually saves somebody on insurance. Does the insurance company go, okay, this community has a 5 or a 6 or a 7 rating, and then they adjust their rates accordingly? And it costs more as it goes up, and you put more regulations. It actually costs you more to build. And the more it costs you to build, is it really saving you anything in the insurance, on the insurance end and getting the insurance? I think it all needs to be looked at and weighed out. I'm not saying it's bad or good, but it's something that I know there's a lot of people that can't afford to pay the amount of flood insurance that they want, or even the wind mitigation, because it's all separate. So, Steve. Okay.
I guess I want to go back to,
I mean, Scott.
you can call me whatever you need to. The interim solution, we've talked about JPI and ISC. Do we know, do they have capacity to help us? Because if we say, okay, well, we're gonna go that route, and they come back and say, well, we can only provide you a building official 1 day a week. I'm just throwing it out, we don't know the answer to that. So I wanna make sure we have that information before we make a decision, because otherwise, get it Causeway out here for 2 days a week, because that's the best we're gonna do. Also, do we know what capacity Holmes Beach can provide us? Because they've got their own issues they're dealing with. So if we're saying their building official is gonna be able to help us, but that's only 1 day a week. I think I'd like to understand those issues before we make a final decision on this, because I don't know the answers yet. So I'm concerned not having that information to help with the decision. My suggestion would be, in the interim, while we are looking to gather that, let's have Paul Featherstone out here 2 days a week, or whoever. We've got Chris Wynn now helping with permits, granted it's part-time, but it's at least, or helping with inspections rather, it's helping us not have a big gap in services. I do think we need to get MT Causeway, since they're under contract, to do the online reviews, because I think that's part of the process as well. People want to get their permits, and I agree that the inspections haven't been missed, but they've been delayed. That's something we need to make sure doesn't happen, is that, yes, they'll get an inspection, but I can tell you, because I'm trying to get somebody to install a door, they're telling me it could be 3-4 months, and if I miss having that available, it could be another time period, because they've got other work. They're telling people it's could be 6 months delayed just because of all the work they have. So we need to know what capacity we can get from these companies. But in the meantime, I think we have to have MT Causeway step up and help with the plans review, and if nothing else, get the building official out here at least 2 days a week while we get the information.
And that's one of the reasons we wanted to have this meeting, to hear what your thoughts were. I agree with what you're saying. I think stick with MT Causeway, but we also need to
Absolutely.
Try to move forward, get more information from JPI and what ISC, Integrated Solutions Consultants, what they can provide. We need to get that information together, but the stopgap is I think it's kind of twofold a little bit. The sticking with MT Causeway and having them provide what they are now, and hopefully they'll have more of a game plan settled. We already know if we need a building official, that Paul will be able to fill in. We know they have the online services available for plans review. And if the commission wants to go that route, we can say yes. That we have I'll have the authority to go to them and say yes, this is what we want to do. And we can also another part of the process in moving forward would possibly be, and I know Deb thought it was a good idea, I believe, getting a hold of Mayor Titsworth and talking with them about the shared building services. And in fact, if we were able to work something out with the JP, whatever it was, that outfit, they're already using it. So, you know, in fact, we'd be pretty much doing that as we're speaking, which would also probably help with our elected officials in the state to realize that we are listening to what you say, and we are using the OPAGA study for as much as we didn't like it and had a lot of issues with it. We are using it as a tool to help us formulate how we move forward as a community and as an island community. any other comments? I do have a couple questions that I wanted to pose to you that I think do require some consensus or motion, and then we can open it up for public comment on this subject. If there are no further comments, do you want to continue with Safe Built in T. Cosley? And, do we have kind of a consensus on that at this time, and we'll be updating and bringing it back, of course, to the commission at our next meeting, or sooner if we have to. Because we have to keep moving forward. We cannot let our property owners.
I would like to see, as Scott said, what are they gonna do to provide for us before we make a decision on that? And I say right now, we've got UT Cosley in place, get the most out of them that we possibly can. And then we can step back and make a good decision on which way we go. Rather than rushing into saying, let's do this, let's do that. I think it's a good idea. We got them under contract until June. So make it work the best we can. And
I agree,
meantime, figure out what we're actually gonna do.
I agree, we need a commitment if we're gonna go to that hybrid or Holmes Beach or JPI, see what we can get. Because it would not be good for our citizens because they can't wait. And so we gotta take what we have and make the best of it, and then hopefully when we move forward, we can have something really positive in place.
And I'd be available for a special meeting if it came up sooner.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, if we can figure this out in the next week,
Yeah.
I'm okay to come back in next week or before the next meeting, or when is the next meeting? The next meeting, it might be next week,
I think it
right?
is next week.
So
Yeah,
if we can get it done before the next meeting, that would probably be a good goal to set.
right. I totally agree.
Also, we're not leaving off the table about hiring somebody in-house.
No.
Okay,
Not at
that's
all.
what
I think the hybrid approach, using in-house with somebody under contract, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It gives us the most flexibility.
I think
So
so, too.
that's a long-term solution, but I think we also need the immediate solution or the help. And where does that come from? Right now, I think it's empty cost.
Okay, thank you.
And the hybrid approach could also mean, most likely, I would think, we'd still have staffing here at City Hall, so our residents can have a place to come and get information. And, it's about serving our residents, our property owners. That's vital importance, and that's why I made the comment about reaching out, that would be more effective and efficient. So we don't want to hurt the services. We want to improve the services. That's the whole idea.
Well, I think we also need to make sure we're getting help for the folks who are doing all this work, reviewing all the plans. They're probably getting stressed out too, because a lot's being laying in their lap to take care of, so.
The plans review, because our staff are getting phone calls.
Yep.
We got these plans to review. They're property owners and homeowners are on time limits themselves. They have schedules they have to try to meet. So yes, I'm pleased with the conversation. You guys are doing great. So I think there's a couple decisions that we need to discuss and have a motion on. And one of them, like I say, and if you have something different, please speak up. There's 1 of 5 here. Do we want to continue with Safe Built in T. Cosley as part of the stopgap until we know more, have more information with regards to what MT Cosley comes up with in their plan, and also with what was that other company? JPI, yeah, or ISA. So what do we have a motion to continue with MT Cosley? And one of my other questions before we say the motion is I think it's important that we take a motion as part of it to the extent that Mr. Cushing is available, because we have been advised of, he is on human resources on leave, administrative leave. Do we want to continue with Mr. Cushing or Causely to provide a different building official? Right now, we have a temporary guy coming in. So what are your thoughts? We need to discuss it a little bit. We'll open it up.
I'd like to make a comment. I don't think we should use Mr. Cushing. I would be against that.
Well, I guess the other part of that is, it sounds like he doesn't want us to use him either. So
Yeah.
Good point.
I think the motion needs to be that they provide someone other than him in this interim process. Because having him here as a disgruntled employee is not going to help us. And there's two sides to the argument, so I'm not taking one side over the other. I'm just saying it's a little difficult to have a disgruntled employee perform the best services. So I think the motion should be to continue with them, keep Causely, have them provide an interim building official till we can make a permanent decision on some type of hybrid approach. But we have 55 days to make that work.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second on the floor, and we have further discussion, and then we'll open it up.
No, I agree. I think that we should use empty Causely as a stopgap, get somebody here as soon as possible, and then continue the conversation for what our permanent solution is going to be.
I agree.
Okay, if there is no further discussion, I will open it up. And again, it's with regards to the subject on the floor, which is MT Causely motion. Public comment, and I know a number of you have probably filled out the blue cards. And Ruth will start the conversation.
Push your button to turn it on. State your name for the record, please.
Linda Cushing. Who is the building official of record since last Wednesday? My question.
Do you have any other comment? This is a comment, this isn't a back and forth.
Oh, okay. Well, I just need to know if you have the building official of record. And I think the people of Bradenton Beach need to know that information.
Thank you. Who's next?
I have Matt Stevenson.
State your name and where you're from.
Matt Stevenson. My name is Matt and I work for Beach Bay Construction. I've lived on the island for the past 2 years until I was recently displaced by Hurricane Helene. As both a resident and director of a construction company, I've witnessed firsthand the immense destruction caused by back-to-back hurricanes and the challenges in rebuilding our community. I urge all parties involved to come together to find common ground and work collaboratively to make Bradenton Beach stronger and more resilient than ever. I ask that you guys find a party that can work with us and work with us on the long term. Having building officials and plans reviewers and inspectors coming and going makes it very difficult for us to prepare our permits, to make it through the review process, and to pass inspections. Each person kind of has their own things that they like to look for. And so I would just ask for some consistency as we go along. Thank you for your time and dedication to the future of the city.
Thanks, man. Who's next, please?
Next is Keith O'Neill.
Good morning, my name is Keith O'Neill. I've been a property owner on the island since 1995. Done numerous building projects, in the process right now of a building project on Street with Ralph at 12th Street. I just wanted to add my 2 cents about Darin Cushing. I've dealt with the building department for a number of years, and I will tell you, I was very supportive of him. He was very supportive of our project, and regardless of everything else that took place, I just wanted to speak to his behalf and say that I thought he did a great job for the projects that I was engaged in. And I hope he could find somebody that continues to be able to meet the needs of the island and the residents of the island. And I agree with the idea of keeping the current company engaged. It makes no sense to change at this point. Let them get their hands around it, bring somebody in here, keep things moving as fast as we can. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Next is Bill
was asking.
Yeah, please say that.
Pardon? Yeah, I can get through.
Can you state your
Hi.
name for the record? and where you're
Yep,
from?
I'm Bill Wazowski. I live at Sandpiper Resort. I'm rather overwhelmed with all that has been unraveled here this morning. I'm kind of here to support what may or may not occur with the drift-in. I was not aware of the depth of the scenarios that went on. But I would just hope as a commission and as Bradenton Beach, we're all trying to recover from a disastrous scenario. We all share the same stress and etc. But I would just hope you'd find some compassion to process what I think we need to do with the drift-in. And I see some problems, but I hope they can be rectified. Thank you.
And next we have Sue Longacre.
Sue had to leave.
Okay. Mark Dexter.
We're still gonna retract. I'm gonna retract.
Okay. Elaine Armin. You'll have to help me with that one. Elaine. Thank you.
And again, this is not about the drift-in. It really
I
isn't.
haven't even started.
No, I know. Everybody thinks you're an advocate. I know Bill kind of touched on it a little bit, but this is why we're here tonight.
No, I understand. I would also like to echo some of the things that Mr. O'Neill said about Darin Cushing.
Can you just start with your name and I'll start your time?
And we're-
Sure, my apologies. Elaine Arminiaco, I'm at 13 Church. I want to echo some of what Mr. O'Neill said because Darin was, is approachable, he was knowledgeable. And I think the fact that he was so approachable was really helpful because as you all know, we had gone through this terrible situation of being condemned, uncondemned, FEMA, windows inspections. I mean, it was all a learning curve for all of us and, through it all, he was fair and kind. But I did have a couple of comments based on the conversations, the discussion that you had that I was hoping to. I think it's not beneficial to just say that you believe there are benefits or that you've done research. I feel like it's beneficial to your commissioners and to the public for you to say what those benefits are, what your research was, when you say that you think an in-house person will be better. So I would like to hear those kind of details. I think it's just too vague, I think, for us to sort of pull on. I also think that it's important for the commission to consider the fact that if you had not had an in-house person for, I don't know, probably, I've heard 15, I've heard 20, I don't know how many years, maybe you can share that information, how many years it's been since you had. This city has enormously changed. I'm only here 5-6 years and it's enormously changed. So the fact that an in-house person may have worked 18 to 20 years ago, with all of the changes and the huge development projects that are being brought to your attention, I think you may want to consider, especially getting to Mr. Cole's point, the extra liability that's built in, no pun intended, to Safe Built or somebody like that. I would love to see some elaboration on the comments that FEMA had shared concerns about the reviews. I think, to just hear there's concerns, I just want to hear details. I mean, it's just too vague when you're sitting and you're trying to listen and trying to formulate your own thoughts. And Mr. Cole, of everything I've heard today, your review of the CRS is to me, what I starred in my notes. I mean, we have put so much emphasis on that to review it, to see what kind of a benefit it weighs out to the rest of us is imperative. So I hope that you really take time to consider my comments and to try to provide more detail as you make these very thoughtful decisions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and next is Dennis Smith. Is it Dennis? Demas, okay.
I wasn't planning on speaking. I wanted
State your name and where you're from.
I wanted to speak. My name is Bemis Smith. I'm in the city of Bradenton. I've been a contractor in Manatee County for 30 years. And I have been a city councilman in Manatee County for 17 years. So I have somewhat of an idea where y'all sit, and I've been part of hiring building officials. My only comments today is I am currently have projects in all three island cities, Longboat Key, Palmetto, Hillsborough County, and St. Pete Beach. And I have to say, y'all's office is moving as well or better than any of those. So I don't know that the self-flagellation here that may partake is any indication of how the work y'all are doing. Everybody has their individual ox being gored, but from my perspective, y'all are doing well. I've worked with Darin in 3 different jurisdictions over the years. Darin's always been helpful. He's always been efficient. So I'm not here to say anything bad about Darin either, but I also know there's a bunch of other building officials that y'all can hire out there. My only comments to you guys is I think there's a reason why St. Pete Beach, Treasure Island, the city of Palmetto, and most of the other island communities around have outside providers for their building officials. St. Pete, I understand, is looking for a building official right now. What y'all think y'all gonna be able to compete with them for salary? If somebody comes out here and they're seen as doing a good job, they've got all those designations which are hard to find, you don't think St. Pete is going to be able to lure them away? So my comments to y'all is seriously consider those kind of things based on your jurisdiction. And you also, there's a variety of things. You talk about the drift in. Jurisdictions have attorneys that disagree with building officials all the time on whether that is a reasonable administrative development or whether it should be changed. I'm not taking sides on it. I'm just saying that that's not unusual in interactions between building officials and all. And finally, I'll say sometimes there's a benefit to having outside companies do it because this is a very volatile market. The same thing that Treasure Island, St. Pete Beach, and others see, where politics comes into play and favoritism. Again, it's obviously one side thinks it's favoritism, the other side thinks it's good business, but that comes up. So having a certain arm's length situation in dealing with your building officials offers opportunities. That's all I have to say today, but thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Walter Lewis.
Morning, Walter Lewis, 103 Gulf Drive North, Wilder Slice of AMI, Island Scoops, Island Donut Company. The city services include the city, right? Just not one individual. I try to get, after we did our own demo work, it took us 6 weeks afterwards to schedule a meeting to talk about moving forward. Because we had to wait, we were informed that we had to wait till the FEMA track team came through to give us our number. But it took 6 weeks, otherwise I couldn't talk to the city. So being a family, right, you can imagine, now still going through the process, right, close to 6 months, what do you think that does for me and my family? Right? These are real things. So all the other politics that are going on behind it, we gotta cut through it, and we gotta get real, and we gotta make things happen. So whatever the permit process is, and Darin has always been, like I said, approachable, trying to get things done, right? We can all disagree on certain things, but it's getting the job done. And that job resides with the city. Thanks.
Thank you. No clapping.
Michael Silver?
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael David Silva. I'm the president of West Coast Air Conditioning. I also have a vested interest. I'm also an employee of the DRIP, and I will save those comments for the appropriate meeting. My comments today are just to support Darin Cushing. I have never had any problems. As you guys probably know, if you're not familiar with me, I probably am the largest AC contractor as far as pulling permits. I do everything above board. I have never once tried to pull anything over anybody's eyes as some of my competition has. I've never had any problems with MT Causley. Steve Gilbert is a saint in my opinion. So is Darin Cushing. The only thing that I leave you guys with today is help me help you put this place back together again. That's all I want to do, as efficiently as possible. So please help me help you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael.
Angela Verdocker.
Angela Rodacker, 100 Rich Street. You know, when I come up here, first of all, I want you to know I have a tremendous amount of respect for every single one of you, including Lucinda. However, and let me also say that I don't ever get up and stand here and just say words to say words. I choose my battles very carefully. I'm concerned. I am really concerned. There's been no discussion up here about Darin at all. What he did on social media, it's wrong. If I had an employee who did that, yeah, I would put them on leave too. But I wouldn't be up here talking about him being gone. I'm shocked. I am literally shocked. There's been no discussion about a man who has worked in this community, and I mean like the county, has an amazing reputation. That's why you hired him in the first place. And believe me, I have no personal thing with Darin whatsoever. I'm building a building, but if you bring another building official in here, we'll work with him too. When all of this went down, I went out and said, if we have to get a private one, we'll get a private one. My building, my project, it'll still go on, no matter what you do with Darin. So I just want to lay that out there too. This is not about me coming here and saying, I'm a Darin fan. Because I probably only talked to him maybe a half a dozen times. But I don't come up here without doing my homework either. And every contractor that I've ever dealt with that knows him, my architect, he has an amazing reputation. So I don't know all of the details about what happened with the drift in, but I can tell you that if I were in his shoes and there was a meeting that took place and I didn't know that my contract was going to be discussed and I found out that way, I'd be pretty unhappy. I might even show it. So I know there might be more to the story, but since there's not been any discussion and all we see is what's here, and I don't agree that he has said that he doesn't want to come back. That's not what it says. It says I'm out of here. And would I have prepared myself to have another place to go, possibly, if I knew that things were not going well? Yeah, I'd have a backup. But does he have that job? Has he been put on to another place? Because if that's the case, MT Causley would have already done that. but they put him on administrative leave. I have no idea what my MT Cosley is doing, but I can only guess that if I were MT Cosley, I put him on administrative leave until I did my own homework so that I could make a decision. So they didn't have something in the pocket for him to go to. They were prepared. They're a company that was seeing whatever was going on behind the scenes here. And all I will tell you, I know, I'm ending. All I will tell you is I've said this to other people too. I'm not here, I know you're not gonna give me the answer. You have to answer it for yourself.
Thank you.
Neil Lynn?
You say your name for the record?
Yes, please. Hello, my name is Neil Lynn at 89 Midge Court, Pines Trailer Park. I guess I'll be candid. What's going on here today seems like a bit of a witch hunt. My question is, do you have performance management processes for your staff? Is it ongoing? What about wrongful dismissal impacts related to Mr. Cushing and your current contractor? What is the nature of the permits issued by Holmes Beach at 1500? How do their permit approval processes differ from Bradenton Beach approvals? How many has Bradenton Beach completed? I think you said 200. What about Anna Maria's statistics? Where are they? Has council or other Bradenton Beach staff made mistakes in the past? If so, were you terminated? No. Why can't you fix this problem and move forward and with due diligence component with Cosley, enhanced supervision or other performance management functions or concepts? Thank you.
Clerk's gonna need a copy of what you read. Yes, please.
Okay.
Derek Williams.
Sorry. I'm not normally one short on words. My name is Derek Williams. I do own Drift. I'm sorry. I have a lot of employees really hurting, and there's so much misrepresentation in what you're hearing. And I have very detailed notes going back to the very beginning. I mean, all the way from the day I bought the bar and closed, and I met Mayor Chappie on site, and we had talked about easements and pictures, and I have the printouts and the handout he gave me. I've done my very best to come in and, as I told you, be part of this community, to comply, and to make sure that we built a better, safer environment. I understand the generalities and the people think about bars and restaurants in certain areas. So I would tell you, you referenced things in there like I mentioned before, my parking site permit, I'm in disagreement with that. Specifically to Mr. Cushing's case, I want you to understand, this is a narrative that was asked of us. This was written on October 18th, 2024, which outlines every single item that I've done at the Drift Inn. Within reason, obviously, certain things change over time because at that moment, we were coming right out of the back of the hurricanes. We were trying to find general contractors. We're trying to find people to do muck outs and cleanups and, again, do the right thing and get our people back to work as quickly as possible. I can't tell you the number of times, again, I've seen Mr. Chappie or City Attorney Perry come by my place. You know, it's been an evolving thing. It was not done in going back to referencing Opaga now, or some comments about me having to going beyond certain limitations. The building was walked through almost daily by your building official and by your code enforcement person. They were the people that gave me the guidance and references to make the decisions that I made and get the work done professionally.
You also referenced multiple times the cheeky versus tiki, and I want to be clear with you there. That was never done in haste or in disillusion. Big Kahuna Tiki Huts is the company, filed the permit under a cheeky because they built a cheeky. Darin Cushing approved a tiki hut because my previous tiki that was on site at my bar was a tiki, meaning it had electrical and plumbing. It also sat in the easement, the same spot where this current tiki sits. So as I've stated from the very beginning, I challenge those easements, and I'm going to continue to come forward with legal counsel to address that. Not because I want to take something back. I want to work with the city and do what's best there. I have property rights. I'm paying my taxes. I paid that. My wife and I bought that business for my father-in-law. And again, the way this is twisted over time is really concerning to me. I skipped over one part on December 12th. I mean, this was handed to me at location by Steve Gilbert. So all of the parties that you're mentioning that are your experts have come on site with me and made those, have made recommendations that we have followed. And all I really want to do right now, again, is get my business reopened in a safe manner. I've had specific conversations with the fire marshal. I understand the process. I think Mr. Cushing was, like you said, I heard many people say, he's been kind, he's been present, and he's been realistic. We were all operating under unprecedented conditions to try to get our businesses and our people back to work and our community reopened. So coming back now and doing this type of witch hunt, to be honest with you, is completely inappropriate and something that I think you really need to look at. That's what we should be proud of here in Bradenton Beach. That's why I don't buy on the north end, or I didn't, I have a condominium in Holmes Beach. My business is here. The people here. We're real, salt of the earth, working hard. I don't see all the corruption and all the other crap I see. What I see is real people just trying to enjoy their life and get things back to order. And all of this bureaucracy needs to be stopped very quickly, and we need to get reopened. And I'm not really sure, as I step away from the mic today, that I know what the next steps are for my business, and that's what concerns me the most. I'm continuing to operate under the guidance of the officials that were in place, and every day I'm in contact with the fire marshal, and I'm in contact with the city to try to backpedal and backfill all this ridiculousness. So that's how I feel about it. We will comply. We do want to be part of the community, and we want to make sure that the community understands that as well, that this isn't some reckless movement from our side, but it definitely feels like it from the other side. This doesn't make sense. Thank you.
Christine Johnson.
My name is Christine Johnson. I live at 1103 Bay Drive North. And I'm about to tear myself because I was here for both hurricanes, and I took a boat over to my house to get this community back. I believe in this community, and I think Darin Cushing was given an impossible task, and he should have had more support, whether he wanted it or not. He should have had more support. It should have been pushed on him. I don't agree with everyone taking a bow back and blaming Darin Cushing for what happened. And I also don't agree that you're taking our community and you're ripping it apart. And I think you guys, your volunteers, I get it. Paid very, 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 very little. But I beg you, as our mayor and commissioners, that you please protect your citizens, bring us through this as a community, and listen to everybody, and don't point fingers, because we could point them right back at ourselves. And I've been dealing this with things that I've been dealing with. It is impossible. It's not, people aren't patting me on the back. And you've got people that are out there that are hurting, that can't afford to stay in the game. And when did we forget about those people? I ask you, beg you, please, to make a difference in our community and step forward and make decisions, informed decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris.
Elena Williams.
Hi, I'm Elena Williams. I am Derek Williams' wife, part owner of the Drift Inn. I just want to simply say I was born and raised here. My husband and I purchased the bar for my dad to continue the legacy of that. During such time, Derek and I have gone out of our way as citizens of this community. We're not obviously, living out here at this current time. We live in town. But I will tell you, I've really been just totally disrespected. And the reason I say that is because after the aftermath of the hurricanes, we had nobody to turn to. And to advocate for Mr. Cushing, he was one of the people that we could pick up the phone and call and say, what is our next step? What do we do? My husband is incredibly diligent about keeping records, and we want to make sure that we did the right thing. So the fact that we have reached out and now, for instance, Mr. Cushing is on dismissal or whatever he may be, City Attorney Resenda has stepped aside from our case, so now we have nobody allotted to advocate for us as far as what our next steps are. Apparently a new attorney needs to be involved to communicate with our legal representation. I just feel, and I have to say, I feel like what the rest of the public has said, I feel like it's a bit of a witch hunt, and our goal here is not to oppose you. We respect you all. We just want to get up and running because we have 15 employees that need to make a life. Derek and I are fortunate enough that we have other careers, but they don't. So I want to thank you for being public servants, but I also just wanted to make it clear that we're not here to cause a problem. We're here to get up and make sure that Bradenton Beach continues to be the place that everybody wants to come. So.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Anybody else?
Yeah, hi, I'm Brett Williams. I own quite a few trailers in the trailer park. I'm just kind of curious. I was at the last meeting and there was a lot of discussion about working with the Drift Inn to try and get them, their CEO, Mayor Chappie, is saying, let's try and get this, let's move forward, let's get this going. And it just seems like something changed. Resenda said last time, yeah, hey, I'd love to try and work out these easement issues. And I've worked with Darin. He's been super great, super nice. Everything's been good there. But it seems like somehow this issue with Darin is stopping the Drift Inn from moving forward. And I'm not sure how that happened from last meeting to this meeting. But anyhow, it just seems like something went the wrong way, and he's taking the downfall on this. So that's all.
Anybody else? Anybody? Last call. Close public comment on this issue. We have a motion on the floor. The commission, do you have any comments? The only comment I'll make is that the commission has stated we're moving forward diligently with Drift Inn to schedule those meetings that are needed to move forward with that. The commission hasn't changed in any way on that subject. That's why this isn't specific. It is Drift Inn. This is about the building department and MT Causeway and what we're going to do in path moving forward. So if anybody else has any comments, public comments closed. Anybody? If not, we have a motion on the floor. Could you read the motion for us?
I have a motion by Commissioner Bear to continue with MT Causeway and to have them supply, and that's as far as I went, sorry, with that time.
So we need to finish that. That's kind of an incomplete motion.
No,
Well, at
We're getting it.
10:35, the motion was made. I would go back and actually put that correct, unless you want to read.
Yeah, I'd like to know exactly what it is.
Okay.
So we have a
Absolutely.
precise-
Commissioner Bear, you made a motion?
Yeah, the motion was for MT Causeway to continue, have them provide a building official for the 2 days a week that they have committed to. Also to have them provide online plans review permit review until such time as we can find a permanent solution of some sort.
And that was at least the 2 days, because
Yes.
Chris is gonna be here, I would guess probably every day that he's needed in the mornings, from what I understand with our, from what I understood from the conversation. We'll know tomorrow if he's here.
Well-
But I'm pretty sure we'll have somebody to cover, whether it be Chris or possibly Lindsay.
Well, but it was, I had heard they said they could provide Paul Featherstone for 2 days a week as the building official, on top of having Chris on
Right.
whatever schedule he is. So what I was intending was provide Paul Featherstone or whoever they deem as the building official, so he becomes the building official of record, and then have them provide as an interim the online plans review, so that we do not have a loss of service for folks submitting permits.
Anybody else? But that's the motion on the floor. You seconded that.
Right.
Second, they're okay with that motion? And you can have comments all you want, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Comment I'm gonna make is, I purposely tried not to talk too much about Darin, because Darin's not here. And I can only go by making my decision of what I have in front of me. And if MT Cosley figures out that Darin is good in everything that he's done, I don't know how that's gonna work out. But I don't think it's up to me to sit here and discuss it. So either one way or the other, we need a temporary building official if he's indeed did leave. So I'm making that decision, and I'm not saying anything bad about Darin, because what I know of him, I thought he was always good, and as everybody else has said, readily available to discuss. And when we were going through the hard times about after the storm, he gave me his personal cell, or not his personal cell phone, but a cell phone to give to people to call him up and get it straight from him, so it wasn't secondhand information. So I'm neither, I can only go by what information that I have in front of me. And so my decision to move forward and make sure that I take care of our constituents in our city. I've lived here for 40 years. I've been in your exact position before. Exactly. And I care about people in our community, business people. So I just want to get that out there for everybody. And whenever I make a decision, I always weigh out all sides of it. Because there's always, as Scott Bear said, there's always two sides to every story. So what we were here today to do is take care of the building services and make sure that they're moving. And in my opinion, no matter what happens, how it works out, we need to keep that moving, because there's a lot of people that need their permits processed, their inspections done, and we need to get this place up and running as fast as we can. And so far, Bradenton Beach, compared to a lot of other communities after this storm, there's been a lot of things that people have done that is absolutely wonderful. And we are farther along, and I can say a lot of people put in a lot of time, and sometimes people take stress a little bit different than others. So, maybe someone won't admit they needed more help. I'm just saying, maybe we need more help and just didn't know. So I want to make sure that in this next week, we move forward with what we said we're going to do. And while everything else works out, because I don't know how it's going to work out, but that's my comments. I want to make sure that we get all the permits processed and people get what they need so we can get our community up and running. And I'll do anything I can to help anybody in this community within reason. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have comments?
I just wanted to say one thing. The meeting for this work session was scheduled before anything happened with Darin. So Darin wasn't part of the equation for this discussion. I think it's a discussion we needed to have, like I said, a long time ago. I like the inside building official, not the contract employee. So this didn't have anything really to do with Darin. This meeting was scheduled before all that happened. And I too worked with Darin. I had no problem working with Darin. I had constituents call him and he called them back immediately. So it's not about Darin Cushing. It really, truly isn't. I know Darin's a good guy. I worked with Darin at the county. So I just want to make it clear that this meeting was scheduled before all that happened. We were going to have discussion absent all of that. So it's not a witch hunt against Darin. It truly is not.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing no one else, all those in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye.
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 No opposition, motion passed unanimously. Thank you very much. And with that, that concludes the business of the day.
Sorry, Mayor, there was a point I wanted to clear up. The commission had discussed utilizing other options under our emergency authorizations and possibly FEMA reimbursement. Does the commission have a motion to simultaneously reach out to JPI and ISC and work on implementing a supplemental review and building service option with those entities if they are compensable under the FEMA emergency process? That was convoluted. If you need me to restate it, I will. I'm sorry.
Well, I guess, but I still have a concern. Before we say yes, do that, do they have capacity to even do it? I don't know the answer, so I think, at least me personally, before I would say yes, I'd want to know they have capacity to help us.
I think in our discussion, that's kind of what the three of us had, and we would come back and,
yeah,
in the next meeting, which is next week, that we would then make a decision if they can commit, if we can get somebody right now to reach out to them, touch base, and see what they can offer us and what they're capable of, because they're probably busy too. They might be too busy to do what we need them to do.
The reason I'm asking is, as you said, there's about 55 days left. I have to prepare a mission request to Manatee County. Mission request then has to go up to the state of Florida and Tallahassee. Tallahassee then has to send it out for a bid. So it's a time process. So what I'm trying to ask is, would you like me to do the legwork on all of this, moving that forward and trying to get contractual terms so you understand what those are, as opposed to sit on my hands and wait, for pricing, general pricing to come in? I don't want to lose time is really all I'm saying. And do you want me to take advantage of that? Or we can wait and see what JPI and ISC say, yes, we have capacity, or no, we don't. Regardless, it's not a tomorrow process.
And we can turn it down.
Yeah, but
Go ahead.
I'm just thinking that we can do you can do that, and then can you do that within a week before the next meeting? And then we can make a decision right then and there.
I guess that's what I'm asking you. Do you want me to tee it all up for you, and then you can either execute
So,
it or not?
the
But
point
I
is,
don't want to
yes,
do the work
tee it.
if you don't have interest in it.
I'd say tee it all up, because that's what we wanted to do.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't bind us to having to.
Just three.
So, yes, I think doing all the work and teeing it up makes sense. Just so it
And then we'll know.
doesn't bind us to having to do it, that's all. So, yeah, I'd suggest moving that forward.
I'm going to be helping you craft a motion if you would like
That's absolutely
in that regard.
fine.
But the second question I have on that is, to the extent there are some deficiencies with what we can acquire from NT Cosley, do you authorize Mayor Chaffee and I to continue to work with Holmes Beach to provide the needs in that stopgap period?
I think so, yes.
So over the years, we've had building officials we've helped each other out several times. that I can remember, when one of our building officials, or we have a building official problem, the other community usually steps up. Now, are they so busy they can't? But we have, we can
They've been
work with
stepping up.
Anna Maria and Holmes Beach at the same time, correct? Or
We have been working with Home Speech.
because, you know, we've used Anna Maria before too, correct?
Actually, I don't know that we've used Anna Maria. Anna Maria did call Mayor Sharon at the time that they had terminated services with Jim Diane, asked if I would step in as their city attorney, to which I temporarily stepped in to assist them till they could get an RFP process in place and retain
So
another city.
it's not an uncommon
normal.
practice to share.
At all. It's normal.
So I just wanted to make that clear.
Right, yeah.
So if you want to craft that motion for me, sure.
A motion to authorize staff and Mayor Chappie to pursue emergency services for building department and planning services with JPI and ISC, as well as to submit any necessary mission requests to the state of Florida through Manatee County. That'll be one motion.
Do we have that motion?
Sure.
We have a motion on the floor and a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any further discussion? I'll open up.
Can you read that motion one more time, please?
It was a motion to authorize staff and Mayor Chappie to, I think I said, work with JPI and ISC to provide building and planning services in an emergency context, with authorization to submit a mission request to the state of Florida through Manatee County.
And so, would that be brought back to us at the next meeting to approve?
Yes, sir.
So it's not to approve,
It's not
working with them,
It's
but
not
to
to
get,
enter into a contract.
No.
okay.
It's to determine their
I'm just
capabilities.
trying to hear and clarify exactly what we're doing.
Thank you.
Secretary Bree, we have a motion on the floor. Open up public comment. Anybody in the audience? Yes. It's on this motion.
I think my comments about the motion.
State your name.
Derek Williams, Drift In. So your motion, just so I'm understanding, again, you today, after this meeting, when we walk out, there's a building official in place. And then tomorrow, there's potentially some additional assistance, and you're looking into some long-term assistance while you determine whether you're going to have an employee or independent contractor long-term. Does that make sense?
It's
I'm trying to piece your puzzle together, just so I understand it.
it's the yeah, it's the
It's the immediate, it's the 180 days, and then it is long-term. There are three timeframes.
Okay. So as that applies, again, to anybody, because you said about getting, again, I'm making it about my business, but to get something open and to get like final things processed, we just contact the office as normal, and the appropriate parties are in place to help that implementation.
yes.
Thank you.
State your name for the record, please.
Walter Lowe's. Well, first question, that is.
Walter, could you turn the mic on?
There you go.
Okay. Are the rest of the building department, what's their role in the functionality of the building department? Because anytime that I try to communicate with the building department, they were sort of more like gatekeepers than trying to facilitate information back and forth. I guess that's a question, so I understand the process, right? And then I guess you answered Derek's question, but the first part of it is, what's our current capacity with staff that we're currently paying with the current tax dollars?
Thank you. Anybody else? Anyone else with public comment? Any comments?
I would like to make a comment. This isn't going to be very popular, but I think we should do everything possible to work with the owners of the Drift Inn to get them going. I guess because I see this from both sides, because I had my own business for 11 years, I just think we should do everything possible to help him move on with that building. And
And Jen, commission has already said that.
All right, well, I re-emphasize it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not
Thank you.
slowing it down. We're gonna move as quickly as we possibly can.
Mayor Chappie, just to that point, there is a change. I have declined representation on behalf of the city
Right.
as it relates to processing that when it comes to the city commission. But I have prepared the notices, they have gone out, the timeframes are moving forward. The hearing will be the first commission meeting in March for the P&Z and the city commission to piggyback that meeting to process it in the most expeditious manner possible. But I am declining any representation, in large part because Mr. Williams has retained the law firm of my husband, and I am uncomfortable with representing the city in that, with that perceived potential for conflict.
Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No opposition, motion passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Is there one more thing?
Yes,
There
there's
was
one more motion.
there was a second part.
With Holmes Beach and the hybrid.
Motion to authorize Mayor Chappie and staff to coordinate with Holmes Beach for any additional services that cannot be fulfilled by MT Cosley in the immediate future for providing building and planning services to the constituency.
We have that motion on the floor.
So moved.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. No further, I'll move, open up for public comment. Anybody in the audience? Yes, please.
Just in regards to that, and since
You turn it off.
sorry. Since Rep. Helena Williams drifted in, in regards to City Attorney Perry's just comment, I just want to respond to that. I don't know if there's an answer, but as a business owner, if she's now stating that she has a conflict of interest, from what we're aware, we've been told that there's been no replacement to represent her for the city. So in my opinion, it looks to, from our perspective, that we're on a standstill until somebody else is appointed or hired, so to speak, to represent you. So how that's not going to affect our business and us opening, I would like to know the answer to that. I mean, if that's a personal conflict for her, I mean, I practice medicine, I understand that the legality and ethics of things, but there needs to be a replacement and immediate effect, in my opinion, because at this point, who's going to represent? We have representation, you should as well. So if none has been hired, which we've been told by our legal representative that none has been hired to replace her to represent you, when is that going to happen and how do we move forward? Because we would like to open our business. Thank you.
And I will, well, let's keep it open for public comment, and go ahead.
Walter Lowe's, once again, in regards to the additional assistance from Holmes Beach, we've been receiving lots of FEMA assistance on the city level. But is there any assistance that we can tap into through FEMA monies or resources to help individual business owners navigate this process on our behalf also? So, question.
Thank you. Anybody else? And please state your name for the
Derek Williams, again, Drift In, so again, I'm going to respond to that as well. Because the last correspondence I received, again, first let me say, please, I am not attacking anybody, including Ms. Perry. So I feel the tension back and forth since, again, the moment I arrived. And I have no issue with her representation of the city and, you know, your council and making good decisions. That's, like I said, I keep trying to just follow the rules just keep changing on my side. So, but no, the email I received last night actually said that Resenda had worked extra and she got our 30-day public notice out, but I have to wait for the 30 days. There's some question about when the planning and zoning meeting would be. I know there's one on the 5th, but then there's possibly another one, and it was going to be on the 26th, but then it was going to be on the 6th, the same day as your commission meeting. So on that day, I'm assuming there's a planning and zoning, my 30-day notice is out, there's a planning and zoning meeting, and then all of these things kind of get addressed all in one day, I guess, is what I'm understanding. There's not been a lot of clarification. And yeah, I mean, so that does mean I'm closed for potentially another 30 days. And I just can't connect the dots completely, because I hear you saying in these meetings you want to help me, but we're going to drag it out for 2 months. So we're following whatever process there is. But when I hear like, well, I did my best and we got it out, but we may not have everybody at this meeting, and then we can't do it. Well, what's that mean, another 30 days? And in rebuttal, you said, it's on you. If you do any work to prepare to open, then it's on you. So then if we make that decision, then you're also out. So it's a cycle, it's a circle, it seems just nuts. Oh, well, just letting you know where I'm standing.
I understand.
If you want me to open, help me, and I will.
I understand. Anybody else? Seeing no one, I will close public comment. The only comment I'll make is, it's unfortunate that Rescinda is going to recuse for legal reasons or ethic reasons, or you want to make sure things are clear that there is no conflict, and that's the safest way. The drift-in knew who her husband was in the firm, and specifically said that to me. And
I was told they're divorced.
Nobody.
I was told they were divorced. I have no idea.
But you made the comment, so let him respond. I mean.
The public comment is closed. So, you knew who her husband is and hired. So that, that is what it is. And we got to protect your rights, and we got to protect the city's rights. We have to. That's paramount to everything. Everybody's public. Everybody's rights. So that's where we're at. Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposition, motion passed unanimously. Thank you very much, and I believe that's all we need for today. And with that, I will go ahead and adjourn this meeting.
Yes.
I guess I'm part of it.
Breaking the place.
It must be the planning and zoning that. It wasn't me.